going to work on writing our persuasive essays. This is a chance to take everything we've brainstormed and outlined for our opinions and our reasons and the details and put it into a 5-paragraph essay. For our first paragraph, we want to include our opinion, which was everyone should plan a trip to London. And we also want to include the 3 reasons that we gave for our opinion. So in this case, we said there was history to learn, culture to experience, and free things to do while you're there. Then, for the next 3 paragraphs, you're going to really dive into each of the 3 reasons. So the second paragraph would be a chance to take these reasons about the history to learn and turn that into a paragraph. The third paragraph is when we can take our reasons for the culture to experience and turn that into a paragraph. And our fourth paragraph would be looking at turning the free things to do into a paragraph, including those details. So let's take a look at how to write one of those paragraphs. So the first thing that we want to include in these paragraphs is a transition. So here I used the first reason. You don't always need to number them. You don't need to say the first reason, the second reason, the third reason. You could say the first reason, another reason, the next reason. Additionally, there's lots of different transition words you can use. Then, once you've put in the transition word, then you want to make sure you include the 3 details. So, here we talked about you can learn the war history at the Churchill War Rooms. Buckingham Palace is where you're going to learn the royal history. History of the government you can learn at the Houses of Parliament. And so we took a deep dive into our reason of there's a lot of history to learn by giving 3 specific examples of ways to learn history in London. Once you've completed that paragraph and checked that you've used a transition and given all 3 details, then you can go on and write paragraphs that are structured exactly the same, first with a transition and then making sure you give all 3 details for your next 2 reasons. Once you finish writing the 5 paragraphs, I like to think of it like a scavenger hunt to check to make sure that you have everything you're supposed to have. So the first thing we want to look for is, did you include the opinion at the beginning? And here we have our opinion. And then you want to check and see, did I also include the opinion again at the end to remind my readers what I was trying to write about? And we have the opinion again down here. Then we want to look through and find our reasons. So in our introduction, we included the 3 reasons: the history to learn, the culture to experience, and the many free things to do. Now, there's a couple more places we want to look and see if we can find those reasons. The first place we want to look is in each of our 3 paragraphs. So here we said there is a lot of history to learn, so we included that reason. We also talked about the culture, so we included that reason in that paragraph. And down here in the 4th paragraph, we talked about the free things to do. So we included each of the 3 reasons in its own paragraph. And then we also include the 3 reasons in the last paragraph. So we have a lot of history to learn, culture to experience, and the free things to do. Just like we included the opinion again at the end, we want to include the reasons at the end to remind our reader, just so you know, this is why I think you should take my advice and do what I'm telling you. Now, the next thing we want to look for is our 3 transitions. So did we include a transition at the beginning of each paragraph? We said the first reason, another reason, and the final reason. So we included each of our 3 transition, and then we want to check and make sure we included all of our details. So for the paragraph about history, we talked about the war history at the Churchill War Rooms. We talked about Buckingham Palace and the royal history. And we talked about the history of the government in the Houses of Parliament. So that means in that paragraph, we included all 3 details for that reason. And then the next one about culture, we talked about seeing a show on the West End, a concert with the London Symphony, and museums like the National Portrait Gallery. So again, we included 3 details for our reason. Then we'll check the final paragraph. And we talked about the free things to do. So we talked about the Science Museum being free, the parks and green spaces in London, and the British Museum. So again, we gave 3 details for our reason. If you go on your scavenger hunt and you can find all those parts, that means you included everything you needed.